it was just an important statement to go there, not lose to the European champions.
The attacker handballs it, and then we handball it, and then it's a penalty for them, which is... I don't want to sound like an Arsenal fan here, but I do think that the refs...
This lad is a star. He's a star already. 19 years old, academy graduate. I love how level-headed he is. And I just think, maybe not for the World Cup, but I certainly think there's got to be England call-ups on the way soon.
Well, I've been campaigning for McTominay to come.
I know, yeah.
And hey, that's my number one target.
In terms of his heading ability, yeah, you would like him to be a bit better in the air for 6'7". We are not going to have a better chance of going there and winning. I don't think we are. I'm looking at this Liverpool team and they are poor.
Barnes is on the bench. Let's bring Gordon on. Alanga, we'll take him off. It's a bit predictable.
I've seen the suggestion that has it gone a bit stale this season. I'm massively always in the board of like trophies are more important than finishing higher up in the table. I just am.
Hello, welcome to Inside The Toon, the show where we dive deep into all things Newcastle United. I'm your host, Shaun Custis. Joining me on the panel today is journalist and broadcaster Jack Cunningham and Deputy Head of Sport Content at The Sun, Toby Gannon. We're coming to you off the back of a draw in Paris, which I think you'd have to say was a marked improvement on the home defeat to Aston Villa at the weekend. Lots to talk about. Let's get straight into it. I gotta be honest, Jack, I'm still feeling a little bit depressed because I think after this week, we've got the home defeat against Villa, which was miserable. And although we played well in Paris, ultimately it didn't do us any good because we're in the playoffs. So find me the positives.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I appreciate that we are in the playoffs. But what I would say is I think if you'd said at the start of the season to any Newcastle fan, by the end of your 8 games in the Champions League phase, you will finish 12th and you will play either Monaco or Karabag in a playoff place. I think everyone would have took it. I'm not sure if anyone disagrees with me on that one, but I think you would have done. And I just thought the performance against PSG is something to build on. This was Newcastle. Both first 30 minutes was pretty tough, but once that was over, Newcastle were the better team. They overran PSG, they defended brilliantly, and it's a performance that we can really build on and take on into the rest of the season. Howe said that himself. I think he's going to try and make sure that does happen. And I feel as if it was just an important statement to go there, not lose to the European champions, and just put out that, look, the Champions League, we have a good chance of going quite far, I think. I think we can still have a really, despite the season being a bit weird, I suppose, domestically, I think we can still have a strong Champions League run. If you look at Aston Villa got the quarterfinals, I don't see why we can't actually make the quarterfinals.
So the season is a bit weird in that I think we go one game good, next one seems to be a step back. Not always, but sometimes 2 good games, then another one that you take a step back in. We can't seem to get me on a good run of consistently good performances.
Yeah. Well, what does that mean for Liverpool then? If we've drawn there, is it another draw? Normally it's a loss followed by a win.
But it was a good performance. It's probably a bad performance.
Yeah. No, it's really frustrating. But as Jack said, Eddie Howe spoke about it, trying to build from this performance. I think it was quite nice. Like, I thought it was quite nice, weirdly, how defensive we were. I know that sounds really boring, but we, after the first 20 minutes or so, we sort of settled into a really nice shape. Everyone knew what their role was. And I just think if we can carry on like that in the Premier League, in the Cups, back to what made us good last season, where everyone knew how to stop conceding goals, really. Obviously, we had different attack then, but if that bit can click and we can shore it up, get the right attack, start winning 1-0, 2-1 or so like that, then I mean, after that performance, I don't see any reason why we couldn't nick it at Liverpool.
But that performance was with a lot of changes.
Yeah.
And sometimes to me, it doesn't matter what the changes are or what sort of team we put out. There's not a particular combination which is the successful one or the bad one. It's just, well, I'll throw this lot together and we'll see what... Is that unfair? We'll see what comes out of this.
I think that's what we'll say is that people have criticised Eddie Howe this season for not being adaptable and maybe having sort of going for the 4-3-3 every game and things.
Changed it.
But he went for a 3-4-3, by bringing Dan Burn back into the team, who was brilliant,
Really
to be
good.
fair. Left-sided centre-back, he was excellent. And the midfield two of Ramsey and Tonali were brilliant as well. No Bruno. Newcastle usually struggle badly without Bruno. For once, didn't actually miss him too much, which is a testament to how well Ramsey and Tonali played. And I thought Willock had his best game in forever. And it was such a nice moment for Willock to get the goal, because people, when they talk about Joe Willock, always go back to the season under Steve Bruce, where he came on loan and scored a load of goals and kept Newcastle up. But actually, the season where he was the best was 22-23, when him and Joe Linton had that left-hand combination, and was one of the big reasons Newcastle got into the Champions League, because of how good Joe Willock was. People forget how important he was with his ball carrying, his goals, his assists, how important he was off the ball, on the ball. And it was so nice to see him back to a good level, and that's his first Champions League goal he ever scored. And out of all the goal scorers we could have had, I was buzzing that it was Joe Willock to get the goal for Newcastle, because he's been through 2 horrendous Achilles injuries, so it's nice to have that moment for him.
In some ways, Nick Pope's penalty save buoyed us up, didn't it? Because there was such an injustice.
Yeah.
That penalty. In what world is that a penalty? How can it be that if it comes off the PSG player's arm onto our player's arm, it's a penalty against us?
It's absolutely ridiculous. And
Lewis Miley.
It was like that Livermental one all over again, wasn't it?
yeah, but
I thought it was worse than that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
gotta be
yeah.
honest.
As you say, the attacker handballs it, and then we handball it, and then it's a penalty for them. Which is, I don't want to sound like an Arsenal fan here, but I do think that the refs in PSG just both times have been absolutely disgraceful.
But we've been talking to our refereeing experts today, and they don't understand it either. Weirdly, I was watching on TV. I wasn't listening on talkSPORT last night, but I was watching on TV.
Yeah.
They didn't really seem to make a lot of the fact that it came off his arm onto another arm. They would just say, no, Miley's unlucky there. He couldn't get out the way. He's running back. But the offence has already happened. It's their offence.
It was their offence, I know. I thought they were going to give a free kick to Newcastle. I was like, oh, that's a free kick to Newcastle. Oh, they're checking a penalty now. What? The referee, by the way, was absolutely dreadful.
Well, he wasn't that.
He was awful.
There's also the booking against...
The booking for Elanga. What was that about?
At least he evened that out by giving us the free kick.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've never seen anything like that. It was insane. He's running with Kvaratskhelia. Elanga is fouled by Kvaratskhelia. And then because Kvaratskhelia is injured, Elanga gets booked.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And there was so many soft 50-50s. There was like a one where Dan Burn ran a 50-50 with Dewey, won the ball cleanly, free kick to PSG. The one right at the end of the game where Tonali puts a free kick into the box. Burns got his hands on the defender in front of him, but doesn't push him. He's just using that balance. He heads it down for Botman, and Botman volleyed a goal, and it went straight to the keeper's arms. But if that went in, it wouldn't be disallowed because the referee blew his whistle for a foul. The referee was shocking.
I feel like you don't often see Newcastle players kicking off at the ref. Maybe
Yeah.
Tyndall,
Yeah.
yes, but the fact that at half time in the tunnel was it Dan Burn, I think,
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
going mental, and it's like, yeah, fair play. I think we're all with you.
And
there.
I think it's telling that Eddie Howe even mentioned it in his post-match press comments, because Eddie Howe's the most diplomatic manager possible. Like he's pretty boring for media, isn't he? Really, he doesn't say anything interesting. So the fact that he went out there and specifically said, I wasn't happy with the decisions against us, I think shows you probably just how angry he actually was with some of those decisions.
You're both saying how much credit we deserve. Now, look, I agree with you. I'm a bit off. I think it was really a good performance, but isn't part you thinking, we could have won that? Harvey Barnes puts that away. We could have won that game. We could have, on to a last 8 spot. None of these playoff stuff. It would have been brilliant. And it was a great chance. I know he got flagged, but he wasn't actually offside, as the replay showed. You're letting him off.
I'm not. I think Harvey Barnes wants us all to go to Baku and get on the booze.
or Monaco.
Or to Monaco, yeah. I think he was thinking of the Geordie fans there. I think he was thinking, no, I'm going to be depriving them of another away trip. No, but seriously, I think, it was a really good chance, and it was frustrating. Personally, I think maybe because my expectations were so low in the game anyway, and you just think whoever we're going to get at that point, because you could see it coming up who we're likely to face. I just thought they're not really going to cause us that much bother, are they? I mean, obviously in a month's time or
Famous
however
last
long.
words this now, yeah.
You weren't disappointed enough for me. I was really disappointed. Accepting that it was a good performance, I was still really disappointed that we went through because I thought we did play well and I didn't think they were that great and maybe we missed a little bit of a chance there.
Yeah, so I think with the Barnes one, I'm not going to criticise him too much because what I'll say is Harvey Barnes has been one of our best attacking players this season. 12 goals in all comps, all from open play. If you wanted it to drop to anyone on the pitch at the time for Newcastle, it was Barnes at the back post. But if you see it again, he is sort of leaning back. The ball's spinning. It's not as easy as the chance looks, to be honest. He probably still should have scored. What I will say is I thought when Gordon and Barnes came on, some of the interplay between them two was brilliant. There was one where Gordon backheel it through to Barnes. Barnes had a shot saved. Ramsey, there was some really good interplay where got Ramsey a shot away. Walter Marder was much better in the second half as well once we started actually playing the ball into his feet. And I want to talk about Lewis Miley because he's fitted in really well at right back recently and then went back to centre midfield against Villa, and I thought he was one of our better players against Villa as well. And then he goes to right wing back, which he's never played before in his life. And yeah, he gets caught out for the first goal, for the penalty. But after that, it was like he played right wing back for his entire career. This lad is a star. He's a star already. 19 years old, academy graduate. I love how level-headed he is. And I just think, maybe not for the World Cup, but I certainly think there's got to be England call-ups on the way soon. There's got to be, because he can play. He's proven that you put him in any position and he can just fit in there. And it's almost like he's so intelligent. He just, right, okay, I'll work it out. Right, I can play here now and just look absolutely fine. Lequip gave him a 4 out of 10. It's like you're watching the same game as me.
That's all right for them.
I know that is actually pretty good, isn't it? But Tonali got a 5 out of 10 as well. So, but yeah.
Also with Miley is, I think normally when you talk about a versatile player, you almost think that they're decent at every job rather than outstanding at one. But the thing with Miley is that he is actually outstanding. He's an outstanding centre mid, I think. Like, you know, when he's got the ball, he's not going to give it away cheaply. The sort of like the weight of his passing is just so nice. You know that he's not smashing it into people's feet unless he needs to.
I think he uses the ball so well, doesn't he?
Yeah, totally. And also he's playing right wing back, not in like a Carabao Cup game or something like that. He's playing it against PSG.
It's Bradley Barcola and Nuno Mendes, who's probably the best left back in the world.
Yeah,
so
any single fullback, right wing back would struggle there. But Miley, apart from that first few minutes, was really comfortable.
We're in the mix still to be in what would probably be a top 5 Champions League place. We'll probably go down to 5th. We've still got a chance of going further in the Champions League. Yet, it seems that we're not going to be able to strengthen. Eddie Howe's been going on about PSR. Some people get a bit fed up with that, especially as we have spent quite a few quid in the past. We don't appear to be able to go out there and get the recruits in, which would see us over the line for definite in the top 5. Do you think we've got enough? If everybody's fit, do we have enough to get us through this season and finish pretty well?
It's if everybody's fit, isn't it? If everybody's fit, then yeah, because we just haven't had our 2 fullbacks playing for a decent amount of time together. We had 1 striker available for months and then 2. I think looking at the squad now, you would want at least another defender to come in. That's what I think. Definitely fullback. Trippier's he's 35 and you sort of
Jack doesn't rate him.
No.
Well, look, we could go into Trippier again, but I appreciate what he's done I appreciate what he does for the dressing room. I think he's a extremely important influence within that dressing room, and what he's done as well, but by being that first signing in the takeover period, taking that plunge to go from Atletico Madrid to bottom of the table Newcastle was such a big thing, and he has been brilliant for us. But we're at that point now where he's not really doing it on the pitch anymore. I mean, I felt sorry for him against Aston Villa, to be honest, because you had Barnes playing on the right wing, but he wasn't really. He was like basically playing as a 10. So Trippier was just covering the whole right-hand side by himself against Maatsen, who's rapid, and then Buendia. He just looked lost. You know what I mean?
It's like he's a bit scared to go forward now, isn't he? Yeah. He knows Oh God, I've got.
Now I've got to get back.
Yeah.
And to be fair, against Villa, he actually did go on the overlap quite a bit, but then you could see he was struggling to get back.
So do you think Eddie should be knocking on the door of the boss and saying, look, we really do need to get somebody in now before the end of this transfer window? I really could do with this. Can we free up the money? I really don't know what the PSR calculation is, but maybe there is a bit of wriggle room where we could find a gem somewhere. And maybe, I don't know, sell somebody. It's a very short period of time now to be able to do that. Like,
yeah. I mean, I don't know who stands out though.
Well, I've been campaigning for McTominay to come.
I know,
in.
yeah.
And, hey, Napoli out the Champions League. They might not win Serie A. He might be looking for a new challenge, and that's my number one target. I think he brings so much to the team. Some more. I'm not saying we want loads of energy, but a little bit more of a pep in your step. Somebody who's really, let's be honest, seen it and done it a bit now.
Yeah.
And would give us something extra. I can't think of many players around you at the moment who are maybe gettable that would do that for us.
But I also can't think of many players who'd be swapping Limoncello in Naples for trebles in Newcastle.
Why not?
Why not? Trebles in Newcastle.
What,
do you like Bridges, Scott? Like, we've got plenty of Bridges. Quayside's canny.
He looks like a Bridges.
Time mouth. You get a time mouth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. As we say this from a London studio. But
no reason why he shouldn't be coming to Newcastle. But you take the point that he would add something.
Yeah,
100%.
I think McTominay would be a fantastic signing. I mean, they absolutely love him over there, though, don't they?
So one player we linked with recently was Adam Wharton. So
yeah, but that's not quite the.
That's not
going to give you the pep in your step that you're looking for, is it?
I think what we'll say with Adam Wharton is that if you manage to build a team where you've got legs around him, so cause that's probably the one criticism that maybe he can't really get around the pitch as well as an Elliot Anderson, for example. But if you build a team where you've got legs around him, which I think if you look at the Newcastle midfield, that's probably one thing we're not lacking, is legs and energy in the midfield. Mm-hmm. If you get legs around him and you tell Wharton to just be the creative midfielder, because when you see him play for Palace, he always plays forward passes. He doesn't really play backwards. It's usually into a forward man. It's into the front man. And I just think that if you introduced a player like an Adam Wharton into the Newcastle team, you would suddenly start seeing the best of Waldemar, because he's someone who'd actually find Waldemar's feet, rather than what we're doing at the moment now, where we're kind of leaving him up top on his own and not getting enough people around him. And if you get the ball from Wharton into Waldemar, then that's someone playing into his feet, and then you've got the wingers running off him. I think you'd start to see the best of Waldemar. You need a player in the midfield who is going to be able to find those little intricate forward passes, because that's probably the one thing. Bruno Guimaraes can do it 100%, but he also does so much else in the team as well that it can't always be on him. And someone like an Adam Wharton, I think, makes sense for that one, to be fair.
I think if you were to strengthen midfield, personally, I think it's more of like a number 10 role that you'd want.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, there is the argument that maybe Walter Marder can start at number 10, or Walter Messi, as he's really called. But
yes.
And maybe this is just because we got so badly beaten by Villa recently, but like Buendia, I thought was so good.
And Rodgers as well.
Yeah, obviously Rodgers feels a bit.
But I know, maybe a player like that.
Buendia was being talked about as being available not that long ago. He wasn't starting for Villa.
No, he's turned it around big time.
Someone like that who's just maybe got a bit more. They're a bit quicker, sharper. They dribble a bit more, get into that number 10 position. Someone to because for us it's maybe Bruno, as you said, but he doesn't really have that pace.
No,
I don't think, to create a bit more mayhem.
You wouldn't start him in a 10 position, would you? The only player, if realistically Newcastle can play at the moment, who could play as the more advanced midfield, if you're going to change the formation slightly, because just from 4-3-3 to 4-2-3-1, would probably be Jacob Ramsey, because he can find those pockets of space and get those areas in the half spaces and stuff. So that's probably the only player we've got at the moment in the team who could do at the moment. We've talked about this, that probably that feels like the one thing Newcastle are missing, just that ability to break down a low block, because we saw it against Wolves and even Villa. Look, once they scored, it was pretty comfortable for them, really. I know Martinez made 2 outstanding saves. One was at 0-0, then the one from Miley was a good save, and then in the second half, Gordon should have scored when that cross came in from Trippier. But apart from that, it was just endless crosses into the box, and it didn't feel like there was much penetration to it. There wasn't enough to it, and I feel like Villa were the total opposite. They had Buendia, Rodgers buzzing around Watkins, and it causes all sorts of problems. And I feel like looking at the Premier League at the moment, a lot of teams are pretty comfortable just sitting everyone back, but not a lot of teams have someone who can actually break that lock. And I think if Newcastle can find that profile of player and get that person, then I think that elevates us to another level, because we've got everything else in the team realistically. It's just that we're missing, and that's why teams, when they get the lead, or even teams who are happy to just let us have the ball, will just let us have the ball, because we'll just pass ourselves to death, basically.
I'm still frustrated about Waldemar's lack of heading ability. I
Right.
brought this up in the last
Yeah.
podcast. You didn't really have it, but again, there was another one last
I
night.
know what you mean.
Which
yeah.
I think he half-shouldered it, and he missed it. And it wasn't a really difficult chance. I don't know whether it needs somebody to coach him about maybe take up a different position or how you jump or whatever. But that is certainly lacking.
It is for a 6'7" striker. Yes.
He's not brilliant in the air.
Well, I mean, he started off brilliant in the air, didn't he? 'Cause that's what everyone was saying.
His
This
first
guy,
2 goals were headers.
Yeah, it's like this guy's been brought in. He's not meant to be good with his head, and then he scores 2 headers.
Yeah,
But,
but no,
he seems to have forgotten.
I know.
Yeah.
But it's weird, isn't it? You think that would be a given, and it's just not. Anyway.
No. I think it's a fair
frustrates
point.
me.
No, I get that. It's a fair point, but I think it's just, we've had this with other Premier League teams who've had big strikers. I always think about West Ham with Skamaka or Haller. Yeah. They misprofiled them. You know, they David Moyes used them as if they were Michael Antonio, and they're not. And Newcastle, I'm not saying Newcastle using Waldemar like Isak, but we are still playing the same system in many ways. But it's Waldemar up front and it's not Isak. And the difficulty we're having at the moment is that adaptation between what he needs and what we need for the team as well. In terms of his heading ability, yeah, you would like him to be a bit better in the air for 6'7", but I just don't think it's his game. I really don't. No. Like, I think it's a case of actually he's much better with his feet.
Yeah.
And although that one, I know exactly what you're talking about, because it was very strange. Like, when it happened, I didn't react to it because I knew he wouldn't make any contact with it. I was just like, yeah,
Despite
I just
the fact
don't
you
think.
defended him about it, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I will.
You thought
I will,
Shaun was right.
Yeah, well, I will defend him for, because I think that he has become a little bit of a scapegoat, which I think is harsh.
Yeah.
And I know at the moment he's not scored in a while, but I do think it's more a case of we're just struggling to get him to adapt into the team. And once that happens, and once I think you get a midfielder who can find the pass into him, I think we'll see a very different Walter Marder, because he's clearly a very good footballer.
He was Gordon yesterday. Should he not have passed his foot to him? Is that harsh of me? I mean,
frustrated by that.
Like, obviously there's the header that you missed that you've spoken about, but he was there. Like that would have been a goal, surely, wouldn't it? And,
There's also a thing with Walter Marder. I think there is a confidence issue right now, and again against PSG. When he was taken off, you could almost see in his face, I knew that was going to happen. I knew you were going to take me off. Now that Visser's fit, so you've got to change me, and I may or may not start. But if I do start, you'll never leave me on the pitch. I think that's in his brain now.
Yeah.
Or almost like when we had no Visser, Voldemort just knew, right, I have to be the main man, and he was stepping up, and now he's thinking.
But also, he looked so tired when he was playing, because we didn't even have a Sula either, and I know people don't necessarily rate a Sula, and that's fair. I think he's got something about him, but I understand why people don't rate him. But what I will say is, like, we actually missed having someone off the bench to just bring on and bring some energy. So Waldemar, by the end of it, playing 3 games a week, he looks so tired, and even now he still looks not at that physical, because he's not actually played a lot of first team football in his career yet. It was basically struck out in the second half of last season where he broke through. In the first half of the season, he didn't really play. So,
and I'm not going to pretend that I'm a master of an expert on Stuttgart football.
Yeah.
But the way that Eddie Howe plays is he wants that striker to be closing down as quickly as possible, know their role, to lead from the front, and so it is very intense to come in. And by this point, yes, he is probably a little bit knackered.
Yeah, I have advocated previously us playing 2 up front with Voldemar and Visser together, and Voldemar holding the ball up and releasing Visser to beat the full-back. And everybody laughs and goes, 4-4-2, you can't do that. It'll be ridiculous. But why can't you at some point try it? And we did once, did we?
We did against Bournemouth. We started Waldemar in behind Visser, and immediately after the game, Eddie Howe said, I might not be doing that again. But
we'll do it the other way around then. Waldemar and Visser.
No, I can't believe Visser is a 10. You can't believe Visser is a 10. He's not good enough.
What's side by side then?
So
It feels like you want a dead rubber game to try it in, don't you?
Yeah.
Or we need a game where we're 2-0 up or something.
But
But that just
happens.
that's not
I
happening.
think I'd like to see it. It's not mainly necessarily from the start of the game. I'd like to see it in game. If we're drawing or losing, why not throw them both on? It doesn't have to stay the same one striker up front. Against Villa on Sunday, obviously brought Visser off for Waltemada. Why not put Waltemada on as well? So I just think that's where I'd like to see it. Maybe not from the start of games, fair enough, but I think within game I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it.
A bit of a change.
I don't know if I've been brainwashed by the whole competing on four fronts. Everyone's knackered at all times, therefore rest them as much as possible. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm almost thinking as soon as the game starts, I'm thinking, God, he looks tired.
Immediately.
So then by the time it is like 60 minutes, and if you want to bring on another striker, and then that striker's played 90 minutes, you're thinking, oh, they're well over now. They need a break, but.
I think that gets into players' heads as well.
It
The
does,
minute
yeah.
the manager says they're tired or they're in the red zone or whatever, they'll start thinking, oh, it must be then. That must be the reason I haven't scored for 15 games or whatever. Is it? I mean, get on with it. Eh?
Or Gordon give up a penalty or something. I'm not sure. We just need something. I think we just need something to get Waltemada a tap in, and then surely he's back to how he started for us, isn't he?
We've got two really big games coming up. We might have written up
Pretty big,
We might have written off the City one, but let's get to the Liverpool one first.
Yeah.
Always difficult for us going to Anfield.
Yes.
So Saturday night, but then they're not in brilliant form. I know they won easily in the Champions League, but in the league they're struggling a bit. Feels like we might be able to get off them if we carry this form from this game into that match. You can't read anything into them winning 6-0 last time.
No, against Carabao. No.
So, how's your optimism?
Yeah, well, I think one thing I record at Anfield is dreadful. No
And it
win in 29 visits. So that is something.
That's quite bad.
That's quite long.
Yeah.
And I suppose we're out of the Premier League for 2 seasons as well. So that is pretty shocking. I can't, it's always been a ground that we just turn up at and for whatever reason don't deliver. Obviously, there's the 4-3s. There's the famous 4-3s, of course there is. But it feels like most of the times we go there and it does get to us for whatever reason. I don't know why. I think the only time I was thinking we got relatively close was a couple of seasons ago when Fabio Carvalho scored in the 10th minute of stoppage time or something when they only indicated about 5. But yeah, whatever.
I'd erase that from my brain.
Yeah, no,
Thanks for that.
sorry about that. Sorry about that. But that was Isak's debut, actually, wasn't it? He scored on his debut. But apart from that, it always feels like a place we just turn up and never deliver. But we are not going to have a better chance of going there and winning. I don't think we are. I'm looking at this Liverpool team and they are poor. At the moment, they are poor. Frimpong went off injured last night as well. Connor Bradley's out for the season. Gomez won over against Bournemouth. Canate is having a terrible season. Van Dijk's been very shaky. Kirkes is not settled in very well. And even the midfield balance that was so good last season of McAllister, Gravenberch and Szoboszlai just doesn't look the same either. Szoboszlai's having a brilliant... He's carried Liverpool this year. But we've got to go there and believe we can win. And I think that's always been a problem for Newcastle going to Anfield. I think it's like definitely a case of like we turn up and just think we've lost anyway. But we've got to go there believing we can win because it's the best chance we're going to have of winning there in I don't even know how long, genuinely.
I feel like I had in my head, I knew that I'm not getting my expectations up, or I wasn't it. But now you've said all that, and now I'm thinking maybe it can happen. But
sorry, this is the way it goes, isn't it?
But yeah, look, you are right. Like their defense is knackered at the moment. They're not playing well, but don't they just turn it on against us, and that won't make a difference? Personally, I'm almost thinking, do we do what we did at PSG and just be really compact and defensive and get a cheeky one on the counter? Yeah. Because I feel like that might just frustrate them. But then it is a risk, and as soon as if you lose that game, then everyone's going mental, aren't they?
Or do we go out with the confidence we did in the Carabao Cup final, and really within 5 minutes, I felt we're going to be all right.
Yeah,
and it was. We thought let's us get on the front foot. Let's show them that we're a really good team instead of going there and thinking, let's suss it out for 15 minutes, see how we are. Carabao Cup final, we didn't do that. We got them worried I'm not saying we were creating any amazing opportunities, but we had a swagger about us, I thought, which traditionally when we go to Anfield, we don't have. And let's be fair, traditionally when we go to Anfield, we are usually the underdogs. It's not often
No, of course
we're there
not.
as the favourites. I mean, how often would that have happened?
Yeah.
Not often. But the Carabao Cup final, I never felt seriously worried at any point.
No, it's a fair point. I think when you think about that game, you could tell from the first minutes of the match that we were on it, and it wasn't like the Manchester United final where the occasion got to the team. It was clearly there was too much maybe emotion and gone into it. Like even everything changed from like the way they prepped for the final. Everything changed, and we arrived there, and you could just see that after Liverpool obviously just had that PSG defeat as well in the Champions League, just been knocked out by PSG, that they weren't quite 100%. Alexander-Arnold didn't play. You could say that was a weakness immediately as well. And Newcastle started winning all their individual battles. And in the end, when we scored the Dan Burn goal, we already should have scored probably a couple, to be fair. And one thing you will say is from set pieces and long throws, they do look more susceptible than other Premier League teams. I mean, the Bournemouth winner, it was just a hopeful throw into the box. They don't deal with it properly, and then Adley taps it in. So, and Bournemouth we're a bigger physical team than Bournemouth are. So you do feel like we can cause them problems, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for the back three again. To be fair, just to get, because Burn, although he was brilliant defensively, the one thing that was massive about PSG was how important he played a role in the opposition box.
They pointed out on commentary that the PSG players weren't even going to win the first header.
Yeah,
they were just trying to get the second ball because they knew that
they just knew they had no chance
of Dan Burn in there. Yeah.
So. All right, say you do the three at the back. Who starts? Does Voltemada start? Does Visser start? Where do you play Lewis Miley? All of that sort of thing.
It's difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pope and goal. I think same back three as PSG. So Burn keeps his place in there. Lewis Hall. I feel like he could maybe. I feel like obviously it depends on the midfield. Joe Linton's out, isn't he?
Yes.
So if Bruno's back, you expect Bruno, Tonali, possibly Miley goes back into midfield, and maybe Murphy, who's back, goes into right wing back. He doesn't mind him there, does he? And then I feel like it's got to be Gordon, Barnes, and this is the big one, Wisser. I think. I think Wisser for me.
Yeah.
Just for that extra pace, that sort of counter-attack hitting. That's how I feel anyway.
That's fair. Murphy at right wing back. I didn't think about that. That's actually a decent shout.
Would you keep?
I'll keep Miley at right wing back, but equally, you want to keep Ramsey in the team because he plays so well. But if you're going to play the midfield too and Bruno's fit, Ramsey is not going to probably get in the team, is he? So that's where I'm also thinking we could also equally go back to the 4-3-3 and go for Miley at right back. Burn would drop out because this would probably cause a bit of debate between Newcastle fans. But when you got Burn and Botman, I do think, although Burn has never ever let Newcastle down, basically since his time he joined the club, Botman is playing, seems to me like he's getting back to those 22, 23 levels. And I think it'd be extremely harsh to drop Sven Botman for Dan Burn.
One thing in our favour, I suppose, is the heat's on Arnie Slot a bit. Fans are a bit on his case. There's a lot of chatter on social media about his position. He seems to be, I mean, his press conference the other night was almost having a go at the Klopp era, saying, we've just qualified for the last 16 in the Champions League straight off. They didn't do that the previous season. And there's a bit of bad noise around the place, isn't there?
Yeah.
I feel we can maybe take advantage of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if we score a goal or we play play well, and they're not dominating, then you feel like the crowd will get on his back. He spent $500 million or whatever it is in the summer. They've been, as you said before, they've just not clicked at all. They've had a dreadful run there. Yes, they're sort of bringing it back a little bit. They're what was it, unbeaten in?
It was a weird. It was like 13. It was like 13, but it was like one of the worst unbeaten runs.
Yeah.
Ever like draws to like Leeds, Sunderland. They drew to all the promoted teams.
Right, they got a draw against Sunderland.
But
Don't knock that.
No, but at home, and Burnley as well.
Yeah.
I think the Premier League winners would be expecting to beat Burnley, Sunderland, and Leeds, the 3 promoted teams, at home, and they didn't. So there's teams who've gone to Anfield this season and took points off them. There's no reason why we can't.
I think the slight worry is that Vert seems to be getting into his stride,
and he's got a nice.
how he could dominate a midfield, even in one that's pretty good. That was pretty good. He's starting to find the pockets. He's starting to find space and scoring goals, and
he's got a nice link up with Ekitike. Him and Ekitike link up well.
You said Szoboszlai's the standout. I get that, but you've got to take into account that Ekitike's had a pretty good first season. Pity we didn't get him, but there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, when I look at him, I do think that was the sort of ideal between Voltemada and Visser. He's like in the middle, isn't he? He can do a bit of all of it.
He is. You could see why Newcastle identified him, because he is like Isak in basically a lot of ways. So you could see why Newcastle identified him. And he's turned us down twice. He turned us down initially when we signed Isak. He turned us down as well when he was at Roms, and he went and he joined PSG. And then he turned us down again. And then he scored against us at St James's Park. So he hates Newcastle, clearly.
It's all this though, isn't it? That makes it so. It's one of those ones where you think, if you ask a Liverpool fan, would they say yes, this is a big game, and they'll probably annoyingly say no, it's not.
Yeah.
But for us, it is one that there's so much emotion in it for obvious reasons during the summer, and because of our awful record, and Carabao Cup final win where we finally got one back on them, but. There does feel like there's so much emotion in this game where that is what it's going to be difficult for Eddie Howe to manage, I think, with the players, because obviously that dressing room was massively affected by everything with the Isak situation. Obviously, he's not going to be playing on the weekend.
Yep.
But I still think there's that bad blood there, and it's just getting that balance right.
I mean, last season really hurt us as well. That the Ungamo, was it?
Yeah, that was at the start of this season.
Start of this season.
Yeah.
Sorry, what am I talking about?
No, it's all right.
They feel that was a real kick in the what's-its, wasn't it? Because we played well.
He's done nothing since, by the way. That annoys me more. That annoys me more. If he'd gone on right and had an unbelievable season, and I found out he's done absolutely nothing since.
Yeah, but he's only a youngster.
I know.
Yeah.
Didn't it needs to be. After he's done that to us, it needs to be scoring goals every week.
That one hurt.
Didn't they do that thing in their dressing room where they put like the time that he scored that goal, because they start the season by getting all those late winners. Obviously, we can look and laugh when they concede at the last minute against Bournemouth now, but hopefully we can get our own back.
Absolutely. And if we get through that, and let's say we win, and we've got a bit of confidence about it, do you think we'll win, by the way?
I think a draw. I do think it'll be a draw.
Nah, I don't think. I think. sorry for that.
No, I think it'll be a draw.
All right. Let's say we draw then.
Yeah.
Would you go into the Man City game, all guns blazing, let's put out our best team, whatever our best team is, I'm still not sure what that is, and say, you know what, we've got a chance? Or have we really mentally lost it already?
No, I think you have to go in City best team possible. I know a few City fans who are a bit worried about it, like they're not the same that they've been in the last few seasons. I think they can be got at, but there's no way there's no way that as the defending holders of the Carabao Cup that you go into the semi-final, having conceded that you just can't win the second leg. We can score 2 goals.
Was such a killer, wasn't it?
It was.
Because I honestly did feel, hey, I still think we'll have a chance in the second leg at 1-2. It's like, that's hard. Look, you can take the mickey a bit out Man City. They haven't been as good as previously, but they're a fairly efficient unit when they put it together.
No, they are, and our record at the Etihad is hilarious. I mean, genuinely, won once.
Is there anywhere we go where you're reeling out all these stats about Anfield and the Etihad, and you think, oh, Lord.
Well, before it was even called the Etihad, we didn't win there, which is ridiculous. So we won there once, which was that. It was a League Cup game. It was one where we had Ryan Taylor in midfield and Rolando Aaron scored. So it's not a place we've had much success in, to be honest. But you have got to go there with the belief that we can win, because, we are the holders. It is 2-0. If you score the next goal in the tie, it's absolutely on. If Newcastle get an early goal, or even not an early goal, just score the first goal in the tie, then it's absolutely on, because as much as City are a winning machine, they're not the same side this season. I think if you get that first goal, that they will get nervous. They will get nervous. And I think the crowd will get nervous as well because they've seen this City team are not the same that they've known for years and years and years. Guardiola clearly feels that there's things missing. Of course, so irritating that they can play Gahey and Semenyo, but whatever. I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous. Like, meanwhile, Newcastle had Karius a goal. Remember that? In the final. No, you get to play Semenyo, lads. Yeah, no worries, yeah.
But also, do you remember before the second leg against Arsenal in Carabao Cup year? How nervous all of us were with a 2-0 lead. So you know, if we do go there and we don't concede straight away and we take the game from them a bit, surely the atmosphere there is just that'll be a bit nervy there, won't it?
Yeah, I think it will be.
Can we take anything out of the fact that it's actually a strange season in general? We do know that Man City are vulnerable this season. Most teams are. Arsenal even on. Yeah. Now we can say, and this is not a normal season, really. It's very inconsistent for everybody.
Yeah, it is. I totally agree. I think that the Premier League season has been so strange. Like, no one's really playing that well, to be honest. Genuinely, no one is playing that well. And we've already beat Manchester City this season, and that game was, again, I didn't think Newcastle even played that well in that match, but neither did City. And if we look at the first leg, and we had some massive opportunities and just didn't put them away. And if you can create the same sort of opportunities, then you're well in the game. It's just a case of what I don't want to see is they go there and they don't turn up and we get absolutely steamrolled.
One of the criticisms that Eddie gets, and he's had quite a bit again on social media this week after the Villa game, is he tends to do the same thing. Subs come on at a particular time. So-and-so replaces so-and-so, Whistle for Voldemort for Whistle, whatever. Doesn't really shake it up a bit. If you're the opposition coach, you think, I'm pretty sure I know what he's going to do. Barnes is on the bench. Let's bring Gordon on. Alanga, we'll take him off because we shouldn't really have started him anyway. It's a bit predictable. Is that all right? Dare I venture into that territory?
No. I think even as Newcastle fans as well, we expect the same team news, which we tend to get. Maybe PSG was a little bit different because of Bruno and whatnot, but also you sort of expect the same style of football, which I just feel like we haven't had a convincing win in a while, or a convincing performance, bar the PSG game, which was a bit of an anomaly because we really set out to be defensive and sort of situation of the table and stuff. But as a Newcastle fan, you're watching it and it's like the same sort of style patterns of play, and you think, we tried that. We keep trying this thing and it's not working. And, you know, it's easy to get very frustrated with Gordon when he keeps he keeps losing the ball or crossing it out of play or whatever. But yeah, maybe that is something on how, and I mean, you said it before, 4-4-2. I'm not really sure going to Anfield and doing 4-4-2 is the best time to try it. But
how do you think you feel then about this season at this point? When we did this a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we were feeling a bit flat. And now, we're into the last-ish of the Champions League. The last, what will it be? 24.
24, yeah.
We're in the Carabao Cup still, but it doesn't look like great. And we may or may not get Villa away in the FA Cup. And we may or may not get fifth. On the face, we're still in everything, but looking at it the other way around, we might be out of everything in not very long.
Yeah, it's a very fine, it feels like a really key point in the season, this, because it is a really fine balance of the season. And if you do turn it around against Manchester City, you're in the final, you beat Villa, and then you get through the Champions League, suddenly you're like, oh, this is great, we're still in 4 competitions. Equally, within a month, we could actually be out of all of them. And I think what you're going about with the game plan and stuff is, because I've seen the suggestion that has it gone a bit stale this season? And I think that's a really good debate, because I think that in a lot of games you do watch us, and I don't know about I was watching the Wolves game and the Villa game once, I just didn't think we were going to score, because it was just the same thing of just like pass it from side to side, get it out wide, 3-2, like a player 3v2 and down the wing, cross it in to no one. There's got to be something else to that, and I think that is on how to discover that. So I think the idea of the status, and then the subs are usually exactly the same as well. Like you see whoever the starting right winger is will come off after 60 minutes for another right winger. The starting left winger might come off and then 70 minutes it's Vissa for Waldemar. you can throw another striker on. You can maybe bring a defender on or whatever. Something does need to change in that way, because there are some games we go into where you can see what the game plan is. It's not working, and then it feels as if it's just like we're just going to stick to the game plan, and then it hasn't worked, and we end up. And then I think the big thing is sometimes you're watching a game and you feel like you're going to score, and you feel like the momentum's with you. And lately, if we concede first, you kind of I don't know if we're going to score. It just feels like it's over in some games.
So where are you in the season?
People keep saying like you know what it's like. It's so streaky this season with everyone, as you said before. But with Newcastle, you lose a game, and then people go, "Ooh, how is he under pressure?"
Yeah.
And then you go, "Well, hold on, look at the form." And then it's like, "Oh, we've actually won 3, drawn 1, then lost 1, and we're still in the Champions League, we're still in the FA Cup, we're still in the Carabao Cup." And it's like, I don't know if it's just that we're playing so many games that there are more defeats because there are just more games. But I think it's more the style of play and not having those convincing performances. I do trust, I 100% trust how to turn it around. I think
Totally agree.
I feel like he's very much like a man with a long-term plan. He wants his players all there for pre-season, and because he didn't really have one, the season gets off to a stinker, and then he's playing catch up from then on, sort of almost panic signings.
Yeah,
all that.
I think
kind
the
of stuff.
only signing who had any pre-season was Alanga, which is why it's concerning that it's, I guess, took him so long to. The last 3 games, I think he's been better, by the way, to be fair. But the other signings, they didn't get a pre-season. We don't think he's not in the last 3 games not been better. I think
against PSG.
I thought he was going. I thought he was going to Villa.
Anyway,
yeah, fair enough.
I thought against PSG, Alanga was better.
Yeah,
but that's not saying too much.
No, it was in better. Not saying good. It's in better.
Do you know what frustrates me? And I think this is just social media in general. People do steam it. There is a faction that steams into Eddie and says, "That's it, we've had enough." Then you've got the faction that says, "That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
How dare you? Eddie should be here for 100 years because we won the Carabao Cup." You're not allowed to be on the fence. you can't say, it's okay, but let's see how it goes. You've got to be either you're for Eddie all the way to the end, or you're not. Don't you think?
There's no nuance, is there?
There isn't any nuance, but is that just the way of the world?
Is that not just modern football fans? Maybe modern social media.
Is that not sort of in the sort of terms and conditions of using social media?
Yeah, I was going to say.
It probably is. Right. So as we say, we've got the 2 games coming up. The ideal scenario is obviously to beat Liverpool, to beat Man City 3-0, to march on for it all to go. But in the real world, what is it? Do you know what? I'll take defeated Liverpool and 3-0 win at Man City. I will. I'd love to go. I'd love to go back to Wembley again, even if it puts our top 5 chances in jeopardy. Is that all right?
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm massively always in the board of like trophies are more important than like finishing higher up in the table. I just am. I think as a football fan, I know that's not the long-term thinking and stuff. But actually, as a football fan, that day I'll never ever forget. I don't think anyone will. And I'd take that over finishing that. Don't get us wrong, we finished in the Champions League, that 4th place, that was great. But then you kind of forget about it. You don't forget about something like that. Winning a trophy, it means more than, unless obviously, of course, you win the Premier League. Yes, but we're not going to win the Premier League.
Space now? Well, we did win last season, so maybe we should be thinking more about the Premier League. Because no matter what you say, this season, were we to win the Carabao Cup, turn this around and all that, it will never be as good as it was last year. That's unbeatable.
But no, you're totally right. I think. Do you remember there was the debate a few years ago when we were, it was that debate: would you rather have Champions League or win a trophy? And the argument for Champions League is that you can attract better players, you've got more money, all this boring stuff about money and PSR, whatever.
Yeah, I know.
Whereas we are now qualified to answer that question because we've done both. We got the Champions League, and then the next season we won whenever we won a trophy, and 100% win a trophy again. I'd rather win the Carabao Cup again and not finish anywhere near Europe.
I know from the club's point of view, they win barely any money. The money you win for the Carabao Cup is nothing. But is football not about more than that? I don't know. As fans, I know. Of course, I want my club to be successful in the long term, and finishing the Champions League is massively important. But surely the key point of success is actually winning stuff, and you get most teams get 3 chances a season to win something. So why wouldn't that's got to be the thing that you try and win? So
Okay.
yeah.
Or we just try and win the Champions League.
Oh yeah, which
Well, there is that option.
there is that. There is that.
But people dismiss that.
I dismissed that.
Yeah, completely.
Well, I think we can go far, but I don't think we can win it. No.
We're a cup team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cup team.
So if we're being realistic, I'm probably thinking draw at Liverpool and we'll probably lose the Carabao Cup semi-final. You reckon?
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
We're all in agreement.
Yeah, if you're being optimistic,
If you're
yeah.
being-
I think. Sorry,
No,
but I think.
realistic.
So-
Yeah.
Well, I think you're being optimistic because I think it's a defeat at Liverpool. Defeat City.
Oh,
sorry.
fantastic. On that note, what a way to go out.
Yeah.
That is all from us today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to our panel today, Toby and Jack. Join us next week as we react to Newcastle 100%, no doubt about it, beating Man City and continuing on course to retain the Carabao Cup. Have a good one. See you next time.